Hello, everyone. How are you guys all doing this week? So today we're going to be starting off with some robotics. So last week we had a FRC team talk to us about engineering design, and this week we're going to go into robotics. So uh, this week we have two special guest speakers. We have Lloyd and we have Leslie, who are experts in FIRST and FLL. And so let's just quickly get started. So robotics. Actually, before we start, I forgot we had put this in here. So next week we are going to be talking about engineering mechanisms, by hosted by FRC team 3473 Team Sprocket. And then coming soon, because a lot of you guys wanted, we have an iOS app design programming workshop. This is coming soon. I think it'll be around July 4th or June 27th. And we're going to be it's from students at UC Berkeley, so they are actually doing a startup. They're creating their own app and they're selling it. Yeah, so come for that one. That's going to be really interesting. And we're going to have more future workshops by Code Orange and Second Rebellion. So today, so don't miss out today's session. We have a CAD design workshop immediately right after this workshop, which is at 5:10 Nigeria time. And today will be our first session, which will be on YouTube. Yeah, so today's session is on YouTube. And we'll be teaching you how to create an Onshape account. And our first tutorial will be making a cube. So I'll send out a link at the end of this meeting so we won't all get distracted. Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, I have a link here, but you also will send it out later. So why Onshape? We're using Onshape because it's free. It usually does cost money, but as being a student, you get it for free. And Onshape is made by, a lot of people ask why Onshape. So it's actually made by the people that made SolidWorks. Okay, so it's today at 5:10 Nigeria time. Okay, so back to robotics. So how many of you in the chat, how many of you guys have participated in robotics before? If you guys say hi or like me or yes. So regardless if it's FTC or FLL or VEX or WRO, and there's a lot of different types of robotics programs. So, oh yeah, so we have many different robotics programs. So today we're going to be talking about FIRST. No, my screen. Okay, so before I talk to anything really much about FIRST or anything robotics, I want to give you, I always tell this to my students in Ghana. So we have a Robo Ghana program there. And I always say, this is your opportunity. So this is your opportunity to open your door. So robotics has almost unlimited potential to give you this experience, to give you the opportunity to work with engineers and to learn many things. So I want to say that it's your this is our motto in Robo Ghana is you want to be the change. You want to be, if you're in a we work in a small village in Ghana, but this is your time to be the change and open your door. Okay, so what is FIRST Robotics? So FIRST Robotics is, actually, we're gonna watch this video.
This isn't a robot. It very well may have hydraulic arms, a drivetrain, and a circuit board, but this isn't a robot. This is a lesson in humility, hard work, and collaboration. This is a CrossFit workout for the muscle upstairs. This is an apple for the next generation of Newtons. It's a lot of things, but this isn't a robot. This is a roadmap that leads straight to engineering. This is a rock to shatter 1,000 glass ceilings, a rope to pull a generation up and out of poverty, a sledgehammer to break down cultural barriers, and a universal language spoken in every nation on Earth. And because of that, this is a compass that can help point the way to peace. But please, don't think this is just a robot. This is Glastonbury for technology. This is mission control for the next moonshot. This is the Rosetta Stone to help translate the future. This is the sport that will help us win tomorrow. This is the software to program ourselves to cure cancer, build a clean engine, or step foot on Mars. But this isn't a robot. It's a machine to build the people who will change the world.
Okay, so what is FIRST? So FIRST, their goal is to inspire youth to become science and technology leaders and innovators by engaging them in exciting, experimental, mentor, and project-based programs that teach science, technology, engineering, and math skills, inspire innovation, and foster well-rounded capabilities. So what does this mean? So essentially, FIRST is designed for K through 12 students, and each level is aimed at letting you kind of like grow. So for example, in first Lego League Junior, right now this is combined with first Lego League, and you do basic project-based stuff along with first Lego League as well. So it's mainly project-based, and first Tech Challenge, it's engineering notebook, it's smaller robots. In FRC, it's kind of like running a company. So it's a slow, gradual program. So to talk about FRC, sorry if I'm talking a bit faster today. I'm trying to give Lloyd and Leslie more time to talk. So in FRC, we deal with large robots. So if you can see in this video I have, we are dealing with like almost if you've seen go-karts or small, so maybe the size of your generator in Ghana. So this is almost as sometimes taller than me, taller than you probably. We build robots that are about almost the size, 120 pounds, so about your weight too, maybe even heavier. So if you can see, like in this picture, we have one of our teams that is preparing to go, and then here is 3476 that's doing that's a really cool picture I put in, and then we have Team Sprocket who's coming in, and these guys are speaking to you next week. And you have if you want to look at this video of how the robot performs, you can see that this robot shoots balls into goals. So it's first robotics competition is for high school students, so age 14 to 18, and it's really popular in the United States. So I'm not gonna, maybe you can read over this yourself in the future. I want to quickly go over this. So first robotics competition. So what it is essentially it's a competition with really, really strict rules. So it's like in the engineering field, you're given really strict criteria. If you remember last week, we talked about criteria. We're giving limited time, so we only get around 6 to 7 weeks to build your entire robot. You have limited resources. So limited resources. Remember last week we talked about money. So you have to save money. You want to use as less money as possible. You don't have all the technology you have in the world. You only have certain things you can use. You don't have, so it's basically limited resources. And the cool thing about this is in FRC, mentors such as myself, or even sometimes with people from NASA, Boeing, people that work at these large companies come and mentor students. So learn and use sophisticated hardware and software. So yes, and all that stuff. Build and compete, and so essentially you can look over this yourself. You can explore more of the details later on. So As I said earlier, the first robotics competition is kind of like, it's like running a company. So in the engineering side, you're creating a 120-pound robot. It's like go-kart size, incorporates real life engineering physics, like for example, shooting that ball into the goal. And we do, in the engineering side, we do design, prototype, and create. So yeah, so we go from everything here. If you even look at these pictures, it's you create. There's no instructions for this. Yeah, so we create. We have to use. Oh, we'll be doing AutoCAD later. Not AutoCAD. So, we'll be doing using Onshape later, and we're gonna be teaching you about design. And last week we learned about engineering design, right? So we're gonna apply those skills this week into designing, and everything here is designed by students. So, and on the business side, we have in FRC, it's like running a big company. So in order to build your robot, you need the money, right? So business, they have to fundraise the money. So every year, FRC costs about 25,000 US dollars, and which is really expensive. So it's in the part of the running company, the engineering side, they need the money to run the company. So in the business side, we do write business proposals. We do talk to large companies such as NASA, Boeing, car companies. Yeah. So and they also write business and sponsorship plans. So if you want to know more about this, Lloyd is an expert at uh, business plans. He won the entrepreneurship award at the World Championship stage. And also, first tech challenge. So I'm really quickly going over this. So sorry if I seem rushed this week. So first tech challenge is essentially smaller robots. If you look at this, the field is smaller, but it's like a combination between between FRC and FL. You're still building your robot, but it is smaller, and it's a combination between FL and FTC. You'll know what FL is later because because we are combining presentation and project-based stuff with the engineering notebook with the mechanical side of FRC. So in the first tech challenge, we use a modular kit of parts. So basically, most things are already pre-made for you. So in FRC, the earlier one, usually teams have to be drilling parts. You have to be making. So in FRC, we're buying just raw aluminum, and we're cutting it, we're drilling it. In FTC, everything is mainly already all made. All the holes are usually made. You just use bolts and nuts to put everything together. So that's what modular kit of parts means. And then we have head-to-head. So yeah, it's all. And then yeah, you can read over this later. Sorry if I'm being rushed. So why would I recommend this? So the first tech challenge, it's like running a company like an FRC, but it's more affordable. Instead of spending $25,000, you can probably be spending up to $3,000, $2,000 in FTC, and it's a lot more simple. So yes, FTC is definitely smaller and more feasible for teams outside of the United States. And it's really well because, as in last week, I talked about the engineering design engineering notebook, and in FTC we're doing it's really, really heavily focused on engineering notebook. So making sure you have the right details. Yeah. Okay, so now first tech challenge. I mean, first Lego League. Sorry. So first Lego League is the most popular thing in Nigeria right now, I believe, and we use Legos to basically compete on the table. And so the cool thing about First Lego League is we're not only building robots, we're also, there's a huge part of the project portion. So for example, last year it was about the city, about improving your city if you participated. So some teams did like solar panels, some teams did some teams, I actually forgot, but essentially it's solving a problem it's creating a solution to a problem that's happening in your city. That was kind of like last year's theme, but every year you're trying to create a solution to a problem. So yeah, so okay, so in FLL we have 3 levels. So we have FL Discover for age 4 through 6, and we do these Duplo Lego stuff, and then we have first Lego League Explore. So it's like, so if you, it's regular Legos, but like it's really project based in FL Challenge. So this is what most of the photos are. So we have a video here, a short video with Coderina in Nigeria.
First Lego League is a program that inspires young African kids all over the world to think like scientists, to think like creators. They look at real life issues, things that affect them within their communities, and they look for solutions to them.
It's really amazing what is being accomplished here today. And I was very thrilled seeing what our kids are able to do in the field of robotics. This competition is bringing out digital skills and is preparing these kids not only for the challenges of tomorrow, but also for the jobs of tomorrow.
On getting here, I was marveled that we have younger ones involved with creative minds. They believe that they own tomorrow, and as such, they should start preparing on how to solve tomorrow's problem, thinking ahead, instead of waiting for things to be dropped on their laps and expect them to react.
The number of kids that have come out from all over Nigeria has been amazing. We've had kids from Owerri, with Jabumushi, we've had kids from Lagos, kids from Jalingo, from as far away as Michika.
The level of what we are seeing, what they've done here today, and what we saw on Tuesday, it shows that we should expect a big bang in Nigeria in the ICT sector, and shows that Nigeria is ready to take that leadership position when it comes to ICT in Africa and the world.
The children are interested. It's because the program is exciting, interesting, and very educative, informative. It has enabled the children to think critically. All the projects they brought forward this year for City Shaper, the children have been able to develop smart cities, problem of water, how we can solve congestion in the city.
Whilst I've gone around, I've seen so many different projects from children from different age groups. Also, another thing I'm actually quite encouraged about is the amount of females and young girls here as well. And we always think robotics or technology is a male-dominated domain.
We were one of the teams, Team Metro 101, that came down from Akwa Ibom to Abuja for the first Lego League competition. So all the girls out there who believe that robotics, coding, and all of those stuff is meant for only boys, that the girl's place is in the kitchen, I want to tell you that that is not true, because I come from an all-girls school. We came first amongst all the boys. We are all girls, we came out and we came tops.
I feel, very, very delighted because I can see that we are actually making a difference. Seeing all these girls today coming up with so many interesting, robotics projects, it's actually very overwhelming, but I'm very happy to see that there are a lot of girls that are getting involved in STEM activities.
For Coderina, First Lego League being one of our products is one of the things that we try to do to get the African kids empowered in the area of technology. We personally believe that Africans, especially Nigerians, have the best brains, and we want to channel the kids to use their brains positively.
The private schools is all good. I mean, the parents can afford to buy those things, can afford to pay for teachers to teach them those things. But those public schools, they are the greater majority. They are the ones we cannot afford to be left behind. And those are the ones that we are after. Those are the ones we need to encourage. Those are the ones we need to support. Those are the ones that need that ray of hope that they can achieve as well.
Big thank you and appreciation to Coderina, Future Proof, Streams, and every other person involved in the success of this great event.
Up Robotics! Thank you, Coderina Foundation!
Okay, so let's see, how do I exit this? Okay, so that's first in Nigeria. Yeah, so to answer one of your questions, yes, you can program Mindstorms in Scratch. Then Yes, there's an option to program Mindstorms from scratch. So if you're wondering that. So now I'm gonna, let's see, what am I? So now I'm gonna hand it over to Lloyd. He's gonna talk to you a lot more about FL. And thank you for coming.
Awesome. So hi, my name is Lloyd. I've been part of FIRST for a while now. Back when I was in school, I did FIRST Cycle League as well as a couple other FIRST programs, including FIRST Tech Challenge and FIRST Robotics Competition, as Kenneth mentioned. So I'm one of the judge advisors that does a lot of the judge oversight when it comes to running FIRST Lego League tournaments in the Los Angeles area and as well as in the North Texas area. Next slide, please. So a little bit about my background. I've been a part of FIRST, I think, for 7+ years now, ever since that kind of includes my time that I participated with FIRST, and as well as now where I do a lot of volunteering on the side. I love to give back to the organization that really heavily impacted how I pursued like a career and how I really viewed what I wanted to do later on in life. So you can find me on weekends, usually being a judge advisor for FIRST Lego League in LA or North Texas. I'm also a coach for a FIRST Tech Challenge team in the Los Angeles area. I also do a lot of volunteering in the FRC community. I'm usually a referee with Kenneth or some sort. And if you have any questions during my presentation, feel free to add them into the live comment box. I think Kenneth will try to monitor it. I also have my email. If there's any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Next slide. So what is FIRST Lego League? So Kenneth kind of explained what FIRST Lego League is, and it's basically a Lego-based robotics program helping to encourage kids to gain a interest and understanding of basic engineering principle. I like FIRST Lego League personally as a program. That's one of my favorite programs within the whole FIRST programs of series. It's because like it really involves kids from a very young age and really helps them spark an interest in STEM, which is science, math, engineering, and technology. So being able for kids to participate in FIRST Lego League, it's a really awesome experience. It allows them to get a real world understanding of what is really to come in a in this real life situation. Next slide. So today's session will be talking mostly about how best to prepare for your FIRST Lego League judging. So within FIRST Lego League, you have the robotics component, which is your 2-minute and 30-second run on the field, where you're able to, where you build your Lego robot and you're able to run it on the field to complete certain missions. Another part of FIRST Lego League also includes having a project, doing robot design, and doing core values, which is all encompassed during your FIRST Lego League judging session. And FIRST Lego League judging session is one of the most important aspects in FIRST Lego League because it gives you a really hands-on experience of conducting research and documenting and using real-life engineering skills, and as well as learn how to work best in teams, all essential for careers later on. So within FIRST Lego League, judging is a very important component because that makes up a bulk of the awards, actually. So I'm going to be talking about the different 3 award categories, and as well as reviewing what the best practices or what are some tips that can help you best prepare for this for these award categories. So within the innovation project, there's 3 guiding principles that we kind of need to cover, which is identifying a problem, developing an innovative solution for that problem, and sharing that project/solution with others. So when it comes to conducting your research, every year you're given a different problem. So last year, as the video said, it was building sustainable smart cities. So teams were tasked on identifying a problem within their community, and the problem that was presented was identify a problem within the community and create a solution for it. So a lot of teams investigated into how to make cities more green, which included maybe planting gardens on top of roofs, or using solar panels, or using more efficient windows in order to make houses more insulated. So the first step of being able to present a very well thought out research portion of your project is to be able to identify the problem that you want to solve. So last year's problem was all about building a more sustainable city and what you can do with it. So you want to be able to have a clear and well-defined problem statement when you talk about what you're trying to solve. So an example would be, I guess a weaker example would be solving climate change. So back a couple years ago, First had a theme where it was all about being able to um, create solutions to fight against climate change. And so a weaker problem would be climate change is a very broad problem. And we, in a sense, we want to narrow down the scope of your problem. And so a stronger problem would be reducing greenhouse gases emission from coal burning power plants. You can see that between the weak and strong, you really had to step up in terms of what you're trying to solve, because climate change is a very broad problem, and being able to narrow down what you want to solve, such as being able to say, oh, greenhouse gases, that's what we want to focus on, and where those greenhouse gases are coming from, that can help give you a stronger foundation in terms of what you want to do and how you want to pursue your whole project. So after you're able to identify the problem, you want to go do a lot of research. A lot of teams do basic research on the internet. They search on Google, they search through newspapers, search through books, search through magazines, watch a couple YouTube videos. My whole thing with that is also reach out to your community on this problem. I feel within the project portion, you can get your community very involved, and that includes contacting professionals that you may know. And professionals, in a sense, doesn't have to be a person that works in the climate change industry, or a person that works in a industry that you like a city planner, for an example. A professional can be maybe your parents, or maybe your teachers or your mentors, anyone that can give you advice or give you a second thought or opinions on any problems, or basically second thoughts on the topic, can help you gain a better understanding of the world around you. So consulting professionals is a big plus when it comes to being able to create an effective research project. And then finally, we have problem analysis. We want to be able to conduct a analysis of the problem sufficiently in order to come with conclusions. So what that also means is reviewing if there's any existing solutions out there when coming up with a project idea. So an example would be a solution for reducing greenhouse gases, maybe installing solar panels on top of a roof. Well, that's an existing solution. Can you think of ways where you can make that idea more innovative, such as has not been done? Maybe creating a solution where you're angling the solar panels better in order to capture more sunlight, or basically you want to be able to review what's out there and also present that during your presentation in order to show you have a great understanding of your topic, being able to understand the problem that you're trying to solve, where you looked and who you talked to, and as well as looked around to see if your solution has come up anywhere else. It's really important to be able to encompass all three of these ideas within your research project. Next. So when it comes to the innovation project, you want to make sure that your idea is innovative. When it comes to making your idea innovative, the definition that First legally gives is making life better by improving existing options, developing a new application of an existing idea, or solving problems in a completely different way. So note that this doesn't mean that the team has to completely develop a never been invented idea, but a original solution or application that adds value to what people are using is totally an acceptable idea. So I think a lot of times teams have trouble trying to think outside the box, or the teams feel that they need to create some sort of new contraption or new idea. But in a sense, I think the that can cause a lot of roadblock in terms of it's hard to think of new ideas when you just don't know where to look at. So I think I recommend, when coming up with your idea on how to solve your problem, go look at existing solutions and see how you're able to make them better. A lot of times you can find flaws within existing solutions that are out there. So finding ways to simply improve the solutions that we have on the market, or having improving already built ideas or contraptions on the market, can show how still be innovative, because we're able to you're able to show how you want to take a product on the market and be able to improve different aspects of it, whether it be technical or just how you're using it, or just improving the product in general. The team solution during the presentation also should be clearly explained. So you want to be able to clearly articulate how your solution solves the problem that you have stated. And then the final aspect with your innovative solution is to be able to process, develop, and evaluate, test, and improve your solution. So coming up with a solution is the basic idea of solving your problem, but you also want to go a step further, being able to understand how your solution can be best implemented. So whether that means developing a very small model out of maybe Legos, or out of paper, or doing simple testing of an idea on Excel, can really help you gain a better understanding of what you need in terms of how to build it, and as well as think outside of more conceptually against being able to how you would, if you had the resources, how you would be able to implement that solution. Next slide. Finally, we have the presentation. So presentation is a fun part where you're able to share your solution with others. So to be able to effectively create a well-rounded presentation, you want to make sure that you shared your presentation with multiple relevant audiences. That doesn't mean that you can't present to your teachers or parents, but definitely present to maybe people that are experts in the field, or people that are interested in your solution. We also like to see, a lot of judges love to see when you're actually presenting your presentations in front of the judges. A lot of judges like to see creativity, presentations that stand out, whether that be doing like a small skit, singing a song, or doing a chant within the judging room. That's all able to generate a lot of curiosity and shows a enhanced delivery of information. Instead of just speaking down the line, doing something creative can make your presentation a lot more effective, because the judges would be very engaged and would basically be very engaged during your whole presentation. So being able to present effectively is also a real life skill, because it shows that you're able to deliver a very clear and well organized message. So creativity goes hand in hand with presentation effectiveness, in terms of wanting to create and develop solutions and basically be able to present them in a very clear manner. Next. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and move on to robot design. So robot design is the second part of the first league judging. Next slide. And what robot design encompasses includes a thoughtful consideration of decision and process when building the robot. We also encompass a lot of design process and as well as programming process, how you're able to design and build your robot. Next. So when it comes to robot design and mechanical design, we want to kind of see you're able to build a robot that withstands the rigor of competition. That doesn't necessarily mean being able to drop your robot and your robot doesn't break into a million pieces, but just simply the wear and tear of competition. Your robot is prone to hit maybe a wall or hit a model on the field, and we just don't want your robot to be breaking on the field. So being able to withstand the rigors of competition can show that your robot is built with rigor in mind, and your attachments should also be robust. When it comes to mechanical efficiency, we want to see that robot structures and attachments show justice use of parts. So that means not necessarily attaching something without intentions. So being able to describe to the judges why you built that part, or why you placed that wheel, or why you use that type of motor, or why you use that type of sensor can show a lot of intent and purpose with the judge. And when it comes to mechanization, being able to explain how your robot moves and operates using a balanced speed of power, all these aspects can lead to a better understanding to the judges of how you're able to create a very effective robot. Keep in mind, a lot of robot design judges are not necessarily technical, or you're going to have a lot of non-technical robot judges also in the room during your judging session. So being able to explain these three concepts and embed them within your presentation can lead to a more effective understanding when it comes to being able to show off and present the robot and all the thoughts and consideration when it comes to creating your final product.
I think is Lloyd still with us? That's okay. So programming. So programming is an important part of robot design. So so programming quality, obviously. So when we're typing, we're in the real world. We should always have our programming. We always want it to be neat. We always want to comment. We always want to have the same results. So what does that mean? So whenever we program something, for example, I want the robot to move forward, it always does the same thing. We don't want our code to be really messy, or we don't want any. Let me see. Sorry, Lloyd is texting me. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So we don't. We want to produce the same results. Programming efficiency. So modular, portable, flexible, readable, and with documentation. So basically, what does this mean? So if another person or another friend or another student was to come and look at your code, they know what's happening, so they can read your code. For example, this code, you can tell it's really difficult to read. There's no comment. So you want another person to come and read your code and say, oh, hey, the robot's doing this at this step. And automation and navigation. So we want in FL, everything is autonomous. That means we click a button and the robot does it. Okay, so robot operates with minimal driver intervention. So basically, we want our robot to essentially, we want it to also use sensors as well. So as you can see, there's like the color sensor here, and we have some buttons, and we have other different types of sensors like the ultrasonic sensor. And what do we want with this is that we want our robot to perform different tasks, essentially without even someone having without a human interaction with it. So I'm just waiting for Lloyd to join back in. Sorry. Okay, so and when you're presenting with two judges, oh yeah, Lloyd's back. Okay, I'm good.
Sorry
Welcome
about
back.
that. Sorry, I don't know. My computer just went did some shutdown, but awesome. So sorry about that. But back to what I was talking about. So when it comes to being able to create a effective programming scheme, you should be able to do a lot of work when it comes to programming quality, such as being able to produce a program that does a lot of constant work on the playing field. You also want to make sure that you use modular, portable, and flexible code that is easy and not easy, but being able to read it and document. So an example of that code is on the screen. Being able to, a better way to improve it would be adding text box around that code to show to other people what that code necessarily means. And also being able to add on autonomization about how you're able to less intervene when playing on the field. So maybe that includes combining multiple missions together and not needing to as much use your driver in order to, in terms of not using your driver every single time to launch the robot to do one mission. Maybe combining 1 or 2 or 3 close missions together and do that all in a single run. Doing all these processes can essentially make your robot run a lot more effective. Next slide.
So to talk more about the code, because you guys are asking, yes, we will teach you in the future workshops how to program your robots. You can learn more. I think Coderina has a lot of resources that they have, and we'll be putting a lot more tutorials online about teaching you how to code. Yes, so yes, and in my opinion, I don't think programming this in LabVIEW, so which is EV3's language, or Scratch is really difficult at all. It's really easy. And yeah, so let me see.
Finally, we can talk about robot design when it comes to strategy and innovation. So during your session, you also want to touch upon how you're able to complete those missions. If you have a strategy, or what essentially you want to answer the question to the judges. How did you make the decisions to support that strategy when designing your robot or completing those missions? So being able to tell the judges, oh, we wanted to do these 3 missions on the field because they were maybe close together, or we decided we wanted to solve these 3 missions on the other side of the field because we thought it would be easy and we're able to complete them all within one run, is a effective mission strategy. So being able to touch upon the decisions of why you did this mission versus why you didn't do the other missions that are available on the field. When it comes to innovation, generally judges look for something that's creative or maybe unique or something that they not necessarily have seen. Again, innovation, I guess, is more touching upon a very subjective topic. So if teams can create something that maybe is unique, judges will probably that have never been seen before by maybe a judge that can give a judge a better understanding of the design strategy that you brought upon your robot. And then finally, we have the design process, which is utilizing testing cycles when there's systematic processes available. So that means not simply just building your robot and putting it on the field and hoping it runs, or hoping it just works the first time and not refining your process afterwards. The design process is all about being able to take what you have and constantly improve it. So when you maybe first program your first mission and complete your first mission on the field, you may notice, oh, maybe we can maybe speed up the robot to make it do it, to run faster, or maybe you could improve a attachment, or maybe you want to improve a certain aspect of your robot. Being able to tell the judges, oh, we went from this robot or this attachment to what you're seeing today, can help you strengthen your story of being able to present to the judges your understanding of how design and engineering works, in a sense of taking a concept, building it, and as well as refining what you have into your final product. Next slide. And finally, we have core values. Core values is one of my favorite part of First Like a League, because it really encompasses all about teamwork and being able to show a lot of respect and ingenuity towards each other. Next. So when we talk about core values, there's four. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So first, kind of redesigned the core values a couple years ago, and now these core values are streamlined across all FIRST programs. And the core values include discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun. There's also two terms that you hear a lot when participating in FIRST, which are gracious professionalism, which essentially is doing high quality work that embraces the values of other and respects the individual and community, and competition, which is the concept of being that teams are highly competitive, but also help and cooperate with each other when they compete. Next slide. So we have inspiration for our first core value aspect. So being able to balance all three aspects of First Like a League is essentially very important. Without core values, First Like a League, in my opinion, wouldn't be the program that makes it so popular or makes it so powerful for kids, because First Like a League really encompasses a teamwork model, and being able to balance all three aspects shows a good understanding of your experience within First Like a League. Developing as well as a team identity, whether you have a chant or a song or something that your team embraces together, can show a strong team identity. And you want to be able to also show in your judging session concrete examples of how your team applied core value, whether that be in the within your team or outside of your team. So stories about how you're able to integrate new knowledge, or being able to show how skills and abilities have now impacted your life, can go a long way during your judging session. So I'm a big proponent of being able to show how you're able to apply what you've learned within First Like a League, and show how you're able to embrace it outside your team, whether that be working more effectively among your classmates, or being able to help your community in a or help/serve your community. We want to see how you're able to apply those core values that you've learned and apply it within outside aspects outside of First Like a League. Next slide. Next, we have teamwork. So when judges look at teamwork, we want to see how you're effective, efficient within the team. So effectiveness, being able to make clear decisions on the team. So how does your team work to create goals, and how you're able to be able to solve those goals? So whether that be setting goals for your teams, or realizing where you're at during a certain progress towards those goals, being able to show how you're effective and efficient on managing your time, managing resources on the team, can show how you balance teamwork. a larger aspect also is kids do the work. So First Lego League really encompasses and encourages kids to solve the problems when problems come up. That doesn't mean that you can't consult with maybe your coach, your parent, or your mentors, but definitely your mentors and coaches are more of a guiding stone to help you point you in the right direction of what you want to be able to solve. Next slide. Finally, we have gracious professionalism. With gracious professionalism, we have inclusion, respect, and cooperation. Being able to balance all these three aspects when it comes to embracing each other and respecting each other are very large ideals to when working on the team as well as being outside the team. Judges want to be able to see that you work during your judging session, that you're able to communicate that you work effectively as a team and respect is among each other. And it just shows that this can bring a lot of real life implications, because in life you're going to have to work with a lot of people. Whether it comes to working on new projects or having a new job, you're going to be interacting with a lot of people. So being able to include and respect all the individuals that you meet is a very important concept that FIRST tries to build upon. Next slide. And now we're gonna switch it over to Leslie, who is a coach for our FIRST Lego League team and as well as a FIRST Tech Challenge team, and kind of can give you a better understanding of his experience managing a team.
So to introduce Leslie, so Leslie is he's an expert in FL and coaching. So he's actually from a school that has qualified for the World Festival 3 times, or 4 teams. I know has qualified for 4 teams. Out of every year, there's 400 teams in the Los Angeles region, and they managed to qualify for the last 3 years, and I think they've had 4 teams qualify. So really cool program that they're having, and he's here to talk to you about in terms of a coaching perspective, because to all the coaches and the parents out there, coaching is a very hard thing to do, and we want to give you some insight on that. So let me.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Wow, look at that picture. So that is my last team. I think one of the earlier videos we talked about, this is not just for boys anymore, it's for women as well. And I think I've seen that grow every year. This is my 7th year doing robotics or FLL. And I see girls more and more, and the girls really, I think, are just really what I think the future, the boys and girls, but I think girls are coming more into the STEM community, and you can see this, that I had 6 girls in my last team, and they were quite a bunch. Very exciting to coach them. And yeah, a little bit about me. I've been doing this for 7 years, 7 years or going on 7th year for FLL and junior FLL. I've had so many kids under me. I've started several teams. We've advanced the world. So out of all the years that I've been doing this, I think the thing to keep in mind, or I think the reason we've been so successful is that it's about the kids. I remember always the kids, and the kids do all the work. And I think sometimes as coaches, I see that we forget that, and I think we forget why we're doing this program. And really, just let the kids do their thing, and the kids will surprise you. They have they have things like I'm getting up there in age, and these kids are our future. They come up with the new ideas. They come up with new ways to do things, and and the great thing about FIRST is that it is all about the kids. As you get more into the other programs, FDC, FRC, the coaches have a little more, I guess, help a little more. Ideally in FLL, this is where we really try to leave the kids be independent and let them come up with their own ideas, and let them do the work. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to talk I'm going to talk about a couple things. I know Lloyd did a really good job about explaining what FIRST is, so I'm not going to try to explain it again. I'm just going to give you a little bit of tips from coaches' point of view. Some of the things I've learned, some of the things that worked, and some things that did not work. I mean, my first year of FIRST, first FLO, we really did not do too well. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't really read the rules. We just went and showed up to competitions and tried to give a presentation the best we could, and the robot fell apart. Nothing worked. We didn't charge our batteries. We didn't bring extra laptops, and everything just pretty much did not go well. That was our first season. And then leading up to a few years later, ended up with a bunch of really great folks at World Festival, and it was quite a journey. So number one thing is never underestimate your kids. Let them show you what they can do. And I think as coaches, we come in thinking, you know what, I read the rules, I know what I'm going to do for this team, and the kids are going to do it this way. And you have these kids telling you, coach, I want to try this, I want to do that. And we as coaches sometimes forget, and we're like, no, we want to try it this way. We're going to do this. Just step back a little bit and let them lead the way. I think it's the most important thing. Let's see. So I'm going to touch a little bit about project, robot, and core values on some tips that I've learned. So for projects, I think some of the things that were mentioned is when you're doing your research, judges want to hear, who you talk to, and Lloyd did say, a lot of people will look at internet and Google and whatnot. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that you think might not answer you. For example, one of the things that my girls did, and boys, is reach out to folks like I think it was the Into Orbit season, which was learning about space. We went out and they said, you know what, we want to talk to an astronaut. And they reached out, emailed, and said, hey, we want to talk to an astronaut. And we're able to, through email, talk to I believe his name was Greg Johnson, one of the last pilots to fly the Space Shuttle Endeavour down to Earth. So they were able to speak, FaceTime with an astronaut. And most of these people would love to talk to you, would love to talk to the kids. And so don't be afraid to reach out of your comfort zone and email either your Tesla CEOs and all the CEOs or whomever. I think one of the bigger ones also we reached out to was a gentleman who oversaw all I think it was into the hydrodynamic season that was learning about water. Our kids invented this toilet seat, and he reached out to somebody who approves all the coding for the plumbing in the United States, and was able to, we're able to communicate with this gentleman. He invited us to some symposium and have the kids present in front of 200 some people because they love the idea. So a lot of these things the kids are doing that communication. So don't be afraid to reach out of your little, wherever you are, and reach out to the world, because the world is a big place, and a lot of people would be really happy to talk to you. But also, one of the things that we learned too is the hard way is the kids invented something and we forgot to check to see if it already existed. Well, at the very end of the competition or at the very end of the season, somebody decides to go to Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com and see if your project exists, and most likely it does. And sure enough, the exact thing that the kids have been working on for several months, a basic search showed that it was already there. So do your due diligence and do your research to see if your project or whatever idea you have exists. So that's in regards to projects. So yeah, don't be afraid to get out to talk to experts. Come up with a really good presentation. Something like the You know, even though it is like a song and dance type of thing, those you really stand out if you start doing a cheer or you start doing a song or a dance or something like that. So that would really help out. Regards to robot game and robot design, I think some of the I've started quite a few teams, and the number one thing when I'm recruiting for coaches is they're like, well, I don't know robotics. I'm not a engineer, or I don't know anything about that. And I tell them, and that's okay. It's not, you're not supposed to know this kind of stuff. And actually the kids are the ones who are going to learn. And the kids are the ones who are actually going to do the research. So yes, coaches get the basic understanding of how to open up Mindstorm and basic ways to make the robot move forward and backwards. But for the most part, you're there to guide the team. So let the kids do the work. There's so many resources out there from however you guys are participating now, to YouTube. My kids spend so much time on YouTube. There are so many free resources out there on just about everything that you want to, on how to build a robot, how to design your robot, how to make your robot move forward, and even to the more complex things. I know some of the things that the kids get scared about is my robot is not moving forward straight, and as coaches, you tell them, well, why don't you use something different outside of the basic kit and use like the color sensor? And they're like, well, I don't know. We hear that a lot. I don't know. And that's okay. You don't know, but we're going to learn together. And then you find a simple YouTube, on YouTube, find a line following program, and then you modify from there. And so that's one of the things I tell the kids. So I tell the kids too, is yes, you might find the program out there, but there's a difference between taking a design that exists out there and copying it to the T and copying the program, because then you don't learn anything from there. You want to take those, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Also, you don't want to try to figure this out from scratch and spend countless weeks and trying to do this when it's already out there. But you also want to make this your own. You want to learn from it. How to break down that program or that design, and you should be able to explain it to the judges, because then that's when everybody starts learning. So the great thing about FIRST is that everybody is there willing to help you. Anybody will help you. You ask anybody in FIRST, from the coaches to kids, they'd be more than happy to help you in any capacity. So look online. You'll be able to find just about everything to get outside of the basic kit, but always start with the basic kit. If you've never done this before, I would say start with that, and then you start adding pieces, and eventually you're going to end up with this robot that's your own, and you will be able to explain it inside and out. And coaches, you might have a team that's made out of 4 kids, 6 kids, 10 kids, maybe larger. Not all kids are going to want to do the robot. Some kids just don't want to do it, and that's one thing I've learned, the hard way too, is that you try to get a kid to build that robot or to learn how to program, and that's not what their interest is in. They want to be part of the team, and they, what, I want to focus on a project, or I love core values, but I'm not too great. Don't want to really do the robot thing, and that's okay. And that's the thing about this program, and it's a team effort. So everybody can have jobs, everybody can have their own specific role in that team and be just as valuable than that kid who's actually building and designing and programming and whatnot. So it's okay if the kids come by and say, I want to do this, but I'm not I don't want to play too much with the robot, and that's okay. Read the rules, coaches. The rules have everything you need to know about the game. And one important thing about the game too is if it's not in the rules, it's okay. And you'll see that year after year, where somebody will say, "Hey, you need to put this device to the front of this container and drop it in." And all the rules say is you need to take this, put it in there. It doesn't say you have to go through the front. And I've seen it with 1 year where kids were doing all this cool stuff because it doesn't say you have to do it that way. It just says you need to accomplish this task, but it doesn't tell you how. And that's where the kids come in and they start doing they come up with these crazy ideas on how to do it. So, but read the rules. Very, very important. You'll learn a lot from the rules. Let's see. Document document the robot. Your is one of the things Floyd touched on is documentation. Very important. Take pictures. Take pictures of your robot the way it was before, in the very beginning, and throughout your season. The kids, even visually, a lot of kids are visual versus me talk to them, or you as a coach telling them, no, do it this way or that way, or it's going to get better. Visually, a lot of kids are visual. Pictures. If you take a picture at the beginning of the season of your robot and take pictures as you're making changes and document that in a book, in your engineering notebook, you're going to see the kids are going to visually see, wow, we came from this little basic robot to this thing that looks so complex that we built over the season. So one of the things and that's how my kids have seen it. They're like, wow, visually they'll be able to see how they've grown. And also keep in mind, some of these seasons are can go anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, depending on how long your team meets. And also by taking pictures throughout the season, a lot of these kids at this age, they're growing. And you're going to see them even in pictures. You're going to visually see these kids that are, say, 9 years old, 8 years old. And just within a few months, they go through growth spurts. And then you'll see that in the pictures as well as like, wow, they got taller and whatnot. So that's also great to see in pictures when you're doing this. Now, core values. And for me, that's the best part, core values. And the way that I see core values, that it starts teaching the kids to have a servant's heart, where they start giving back to the community. They start thinking more outside of themselves and start thinking of others. And that's what really core values is for me and for the kids. I say, hey, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start doing outreaches. And outreaches is the best part, for me, is you get to go out, you get to give back to the community. You get to really give back to what you've learned. So you're going to learn all these things throughout your season, but then you're able to turn around and go back. For example, with my kids, we do things in the U.S. or in our community, my community. We have a issue with homeless population, meaning we have a lot of homeless people. So one of the things that we've done is we're able to tell the kids, hey, why don't we, get you out of your comfort zone? Some of these kids haven't really experienced having it really rough. So what we'll do is we'll take them and we'll say, hey, let's go. Why don't we go help feed the homeless or something like that? And it really gets them out of their comfort zone, and they're able to see, hey, we're able to give back and help these people who have a lot less than we do. And look, and then all this has nothing to do with robotics, right? It is, and then it's one of the taglines. It's more than just robots. And yeah, and so go back and help with the community. Let's see. Usually, I try to get the kids to do more outreaches than most than they're used to. So we'll try to hit at least a dozen things to do, such as once these kids learn, say a kid learns how to do Mindstorm, they learn how to build that robot. Well, you know what? We have all this knowledge. There may be 6 kids on your team. Well, why don't we take that knowledge that we've learned and let's reach out to their friends. Let's reach out to other kids that they know. And hey guys, we've a team. We've learned how to do this cool stuff with robots. Do you guys want to hear about it? And then we'll go out there and we'll start teaching them. So they learn, they ingest all this data, and then you go back and you pay it forward by teaching kids in the community. And then that's how this, I think, within our community, has just exploded in size as far as robotics. Is that a few kids learned it, and then more kids started learning it, and just first being first, that about competition. It's not about winning. It's about helping each other out. It just exploded. Gracious professionalism. You started teaching core values. You started teaching all these other kids all the cool stuff that you're learning, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger from there. Coaches, really, it's the biggest thing is time management. Is you're gonna learn that I don't, everybody's different. Some teams meet 1 hour a week. Some teams meet, like us, we were meeting 20 hours a week. It all depends too on how much time you put and time and effort you put into the program as well. Is how much time can you do? But manage that time wisely. Have a list of things that you're going to accomplish at the beginning of your meeting. And did you accomplish those things at the end of your meeting? If not, what is pending, and what can you do to finish some of those tasks? So I think that's the hardest part. But also forget that kids want to be kids and they want to have fun, and that's okay too. Find time to do nothing robotics and just get the teams together and get them together to just go out and just have fun, at your local park or someplace local, even at someplace, somebody's home. Get them together to just build that team bonding, because the more time they spend together, the more they're gonna work well together. And sometimes they don't. I mean, the kids are gonna disagree, and that's okay, because it's gonna teach them that real life experience. And I tell them all the time, they all want to accomplish one task, but there's 6 different ideas on how to do it. And they all have to figure out a way to decide on how to get that task accomplished. And I tell them, well, when you get older and you actually go to work, it's going to be like this. When you work on a team, not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay. So that's one of the things. First is really teaching them real world skills. It's how to work on a team, and whatnot. But really, I mean, that's those are the 3 few words that I have to say. I think FIRST is an amazing program, and I think that you guys are in for a really great ride once you start this program, or if you haven't already. But yeah, thanks for your time. Any questions?
Yeah, and thank you. Guys, can you say a good thank you to Lloyd and Leslie so much for their time, especially because they're waking up so early to do this presentation in Los Angeles. So if you guys have any questions, we have like a 10-second delay, so. I think, Lloyd, so do you have any question? Like, they wanted to know about what resources they had that they could use, for example, like EV3 lessons, or like ev3lessons.com, or any open source stuff they could use.
I'm not too familiar with
Leslie, if you know anything
resources, but I think there's a website called fltutorials.com or .org. I've heard that resource is pretty useful. Maybe Leslie.
FLLcast. There's FLLcast is another one. There's quite a bit out there. There's some pretty EV3 lessons. It's a team. It's a pair of boys or brothers who are now on FTC, who really could give free EV3 lessons. I believe it's ev3lessons.com. Yeah, and then that's free. I mean, these kids have been doing this for some time now, and really dominated the first world, and they really help give back to the community. So I would reach out. I would look at their site. They have a lot of free stuff. I think most of their stuff is free.
Yeah. Well, I think thank you so much for this week. Thank you to both of you. If you want to join the CAD session, It's gonna be awesome. They've pre-recorded lectures, and if everyone can, I think Coderina will send you the link. But we will also be talking about. Let me just exit this for a second. We will also be talking about. Can you see my screen? No, you cannot see my screen. Let me give you one more second. Give me one more second before we switch over. Share screen. So we'll be talking also about on my screen. Okay, it's fine. Join the other session. We'll do that. We'll do it there. Oh, okay, never mind. So we'll also be talking about the platform we'll be using. So stuff like we created a learning portal. So it's basically on Moodle. So you guys can ask questions and all that. And we have a CAD session on Onshape. So today we'll be teaching you how to make a account and how to make a cube. So if you guys want to join, go to that link that it's posted. So see you guys there. Thank you so much. Coderina. Wait, can you end the live stream?